In their final test to become Rangers, a squad of trainees find themselves fighting for survival against a highly advanced alien robot. There's some surface level comparisons to Predator, but hopefully this is able to carve out its own niche. Join us as we check out War Machine. Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always is David.
I come in peace.
This is a science fiction movie podcast. We get together and talk about sci-fi movies. That's simple, and we're doing a new release pretty much. I mean, it's technically about a month old now at the time of recording, but we're doing War Machine, which came out on March 6th. This is a Netflix movie, and it stars Ritchson. And I basically what I heard is like, imagine Predator but with a big robot instead of the Predator, and I was like, okay, sure.
I'm glad that somebody else did that. I was coming into this, I'm like, did they just remake Predator? Is that like all that happened here?
To be fair, I do think there's a lot of things to differentiate it beyond just it's a robot, right? There's like, you know, the characters are very different. The way it plays out is very different. Some of the initial setup is very, very, very different. But yeah, it's hard not to just, you know, like they're in like, you know, the forest, and there's a thing hunting them. It just happens to be a giant robot instead of when I say giant, we're talking about 20-25 feet, not like kaiju.
Yeah, it still has to be surmountable as a villain and not just like, well, we're all gonna die.
Well, it has to hide behind trees, you see, so it can't be too tall,
that too.
Right?
Yep.
just enough that we can obscure it sometimes, and then it can pop out. But that is the general premise of this. We'll get into more specifics in a bit, but we'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get the spoilers, and if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, hit the like button. Helps us out a bunch. You can give us a 5-star rating on the podcast app of your choosing, and if you want to support everything in the show, you can do that over at Patreon and get some bonuses for your troubles, but I'll tell you about that more at the end of the episode. So, I mean, let's just get out of the way. It's a Netflix movie that brings with it a certain lack of expectations, I think, for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. From the word go, just pressing play on Netflix, I'm like, I still have this deep-seated anger left over from Electric State, and I don't think I've ever really shaken it.
Was that? I thought it was. Oh, maybe that was Netflix.
Yeah.
No, Tomorrow War was Amazon. I was mixing my Chris Pratt crap up.
It all blends together. I just hope we never, ever, ever, ever have to do Mercy. Let me just check the schedule. Oh, darn.
Yeah, but that's Chris Pratt theater slop, not Netflix or Amazon slop.
I don't think there's a difference. I'm pretty sure it's just all Chris Pratt slop.
I mean, the ingredients are the same, but it's on a different plate, so...
No, that's fair.
Lap it up.
That being said, I am, like, currently, right now, me and my wife are watching through Parks and Rec, her for the first time. I've catching here and there. He's good on, I get it. I understand, like, why he took off, but damn, if he didn't fall into the most boring actors category imaginable.
Yeah, he just, you know, mostly, it was that, and then he got lucky to be in Guardians, and then that kind of set him up, and then everything since then has been just whatever, just a big fat nothing. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Chris Pratt. We're here to talk about Alan Ritchson, or just Ritchson, I should say, who, I think he was like a Hawkman on something, like one of the TV shows back in the day. He was Aquaman, okay. And he was one of the C tier heroes.
Hold on, just to interfere. He was Aquaman back on Smallville.
Yes.
But apparently he came back as Hawk from Hawk and Dove on Titans.
Ah, that's what I'm thinking of, Hawk. Okay, I knew it wasn't crazy. I knew there was something there. I mean, Hawk and Hawkman are very different characters, but no one thinks about Hawk of Hawk and Dove.
No, never.
So, but he's in that Reacher show, that Jack, is it Jack Reacher? But Reacher anyway. But and people seem to like that. He's kind of he's built like a tank. He's big. He's all that, and seemingly people quite like him as in this kind of cheesecake kind of action hero role. Obviously, we're in a very different time where that doesn't necessarily make you as successful as it once did back in the 80s. But hey, he seems to be pretty good at filling those shoes when you want that type of guy.
Someone's got to do it. We got to have somebody there.
Yeah. So. He was in the news recently because he there was footage of him like hitting a neighbor, and it looked quite bad.
Oh, yeah.
But then it turned out the neighbor had like pushed him off his bike in front of his kids like multiple times. So it was an escalating thing. He came out of it looking much better than the other guy, actually, despite what the initial footage looked like. So, just enough. Anyway. He's here. He's the lead. There's a couple other faces that I recognised in here. They've all got numbers because they're all in like this training program, so they're all just given numbers. But so the main character is 81. Our most prominent secondary character is 7, and he's played by Stephen James, who I recognise from Homecoming. Why are you making a face?
I just like it's kind of spoilery, but like 7 is just the funniest character in this movie for so many reasons.
Sure. And then also, speaking of like people that used to be on a DC thing, the Wally West from the Flash TV show is in this.
Oh yeah,
he's number 60.
I didn't even recognize him.
Do you know what's funny is that when I saw him in this, I thought to myself, oh, he reminds me of the guy that played Wally West in The Flash, but I don't think it's him. And then I looked up the cast list. Oh, it is him. Apparently just shaving your hair a bit shorter and like having a bit of stubble, just really, and also maybe like 5 extra years since I've seen him. All of a sudden he looks like a man. Yeah.
You put somebody in an Army Ranger outfit, and by God, the manliness is far more than the CW Flash.
And then people in charge, the military kind of training camp, is you got the villain from the last 2 Mission Impossibles and Dennis Quaid are the 2 guys in charge there.
I completely missed Dennis Quaid. Like, I was looking dead at him. He was speaking, and I was like, who's this character actor? I've never seen him before.
So what's funny is I did recognize him, but I maybe had help because I saw him in The Substance just like a year ago. So I've seen him in something recent. Admittedly, here with the buzz cut and the hat on all the time, it did take me a second to clock him. But he's very old and gruff now, so yeah. And
then you briefly skipped over if we're talking about DC people.
Oh, of course.
Captain Boomerang himself, Jai Courtney, showing up as MacGuffin.
I mean, that's fair. It's fair. Obviously, that's a prominent thing from his past. However, when I look at him, all I see is the failure that is Terminator Genesis and the fact that he was supposed to be Kyle Reese. But yes. Also John McClane's son.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I've already wiped that from my memory. Crazy.
We'll have to do it again. So the pain is fresh.
No, we don't have to do any of that.
Check out Die Hard season over on the Collector's Cut to get the full thoughts on Die Hard 5 or A Good Day to Die Hard.
There you go.
That was the name of it, I think. Anyway.
That was a horrible movie.
So yeah, I mean, basic setup, they go on this final training exercise, this test in the forest, and there's an alien robot trying to kill us. All right, survive. There you go. That's your plot. David, what did you think of War Machine?
I think that the War Machine as a concept is good when it's like Predator. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to say in concept it's a bad idea. What I had umbrage with here is that this felt less like a movie and more like an 80-minute long army ad. Like this, at a certain point I was just like, no, you're not doing a sci-fi movie anymore. You're just trying to recruit kids. With how often you're like, but the Rangers never quit. The Rangers will be the first to go in and the last to leave. And I'm like, all right, guys, we get it. In terms of positives, I think the robots compositing looks good. I felt like it was meshed into the scene pretty well. The design of the robot I had problems with in that it's got 2 little lights on the front that are both slanted downwards and inwards, so it just looks like it has angry eyebrows the whole time, and I couldn't take it seriously as a threat because of that. And then the acting, and not even the acting, the characters, as you said, they're all given a number. If you want me to care any less for a character, you give them a number. I couldn't associate with any of these people. Not a single one of them was memorable at all, because when I look at them, I don't think, oh, that's John, and John has this whole backstory of X, Y, and Z. No, that's 57. What does 57 do? Screw you. Who cares?
I can't believe I'm going to have to like fight you on something here, but I'm going to disagree entirely with that last point because I've got a little movie called 12 Angry Men. Juror number 1, juror number 2, juror number 3, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Okay. So,
all right, the difference being the very obvious, they actually had characters.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But you didn't say that there. You said give them a number, and all of a sudden they're meaningless. That does not track.
Okay, all right. To rephrase the statement then for the audience, it's currently chastising me. What I mean to say by the number thing is that if you have nothing else to go on, if there is no character work, the bare minimum that you can do to get me involved is to give me a name and some semblance of a backstory. Neither of that happens here. It is literally just meat walking into their death. There is nothing more to happen.
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't think the numbering itself is the problem. It's just yeah, I mean, honestly, the first point you made is sort of the first thing that caught me, and it wasn't even like deep into the movie. It was the opening scene. It was the scene of Alan Ritchson, 81, going to see his brother. This is 2 years before the rest of the movie, and his brother, Jai Courtney's his brother, and he's like, hey, you promised we're going to be Rangers together. Let's go take the exams. And I'm already thinking, isn't Alan Ritchson too old to go into a new line of the military? He's like 40 or whatever. And like, he's just under the threshold. He's fine. But it's like, no, we promised we'd do this together. And it was the way the music came in swelling as if this was like the best, most heroic thing. And look how sweet it is that they're going to be Rangers together, be on the front lines. And he's talking passionately about, we'll get to be there, boots on the ground first, we get to Desert Storm. And I'm like, honestly, at this point, I don't know if there's any way quicker to make me like disconnect from your characters than have them talk enthusiastically that they want for either whatever their motivation is. It could be an ego thing, it could be like some sense of patriotism, some sense of honor, whatever. But the idea of enthusiastically talking about, I want to, be on the front lines because I see it as something I've always dreamed of, just rubbed me the wrong way the second he said it. And then the movie never lets it go. The movie's doing the inspirational music every single time someone like says something heroic or gives a speech or whatever it is. It's all the way through the damn thing.
Yeah, no, that's like, I believe the line that Jai Courtney said in order to like justify it is, we always said that we do this, whatever. We should be on the front lines, busting down doors and being the first ones. I'm like, you just want to hurt people. That's the whole reason you want to do this. And then, the movie happens for spoilery reasons. The whole reason that Alan Ritchson is doing all this is not because he wants to do that. It's because his brother wants to do this. And so he doesn't even feel like he has a justification except for it's what my brother wanted. Yeah.
There's obviously, look, this is a movie about a robot hunting down a bunch of people in the forest, right? And it doesn't need to be some nuanced, in-depth movie, right? You can have soldier characters and not have to do some sort of like actual balanced commentary on what it is to be a soldier and what it is to be the military and all that, right? Predator did not do that. It didn't need to do that. But if you're going to go so heavy into this idea of wanting to be in the military as like a key thing, right, or wanting to do well in a specific branch of military, I guess in this case, then all you're doing is saying like how much of a dream it is and how positive it is and how it's worth all the sacrifice no matter how much punishment they put you through. There's like no nuance to like the negative side or like any kind of exploration as to like the cost of this or anything like that. It feels like propaganda. It feels like a recruitment ad for chunks. And the funny thing is I was thinking about this because it takes about half an hour, about 30 minutes give or take, to actually get to the real plot kicking off, which is, alien robots here, we have to do stuff. And all I was thinking was, that was 30 minutes to get there, and it should have been 10. Like, 20 minutes of that opening half hour could have easily been cut without sacrificing anything. I swear, almost 20 minutes of that 30 minutes is multiple montage sequences of the tests and the training, and here's this wave of people being told they can go home, here's this wave of people being told they can go home, and I'm like, one montage would have done. We would have got the point. The idea would have been given across, and they do all these extra bits where, like, main character 81's been pushed to his limits and all the rest of it. I'm like, you needed maybe one example of this, not 4.
Yeah. No, that opening sequence drags and drags and drags and drags. I will give the smallest bit of credit in that I like how it seeds the sci-fi elements in between, like in the background.
Whoa. You mean like after 20 minutes of just being a military recruitment like drama, it turns to a TV screen and says, NASA's detected some kind of meteor orbiting the Earth. Look, it's weird.
I'm not saying it does it well, but I like the idea of it. The fact where it's like, no, they're going to get blindsided by this, but the audience has been filled in just by a couple of clues left around in the background. Could they have been more subtle? Yes, but that's the whole movie. The whole movie could have been more subtle.
Because, like, to compare it to Predator for a second here with the opening, Predator has the main characters arrive, they have a better personality, they're given a mission. You get the ride in the helicopter, and then it's straight to business, pretty much, right? And anything you need is sort of, it comes out as you're going through the story. And I was noticing this here is that, a lot of the things we need to know, we'd get throughout the story. This idea of like, 81 doesn't want to be a leader. We get that when they're already on the mission. We didn't need like him refusing to be a leader 4 times before we got to that point. Like you're sort of like you're beating it over the head constantly to the point where by the time all the payoffs start happening, I'm just annoyed that I'm still thinking about it because you've just been bringing it up too many times. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Positives, I do think the robot looks good, both in terms of effects. I think the design's solid enough. I didn't necessarily have the problem with the evil eyebrows. I wasn't thinking of it that way. I just liked that it was a big hulking mass more than anything.
He looks like if an alien got their hands on Ed 209 and just bulked it up. Like, that's the general design. Yeah.
And, some of the sequences of the robot attacking them that's fine. Like, I guess what I was noticing there, and again, to compare it to Predator for a moment, is not so much anything to do with concept or, like, the choices they made in terms of, like, how the story's going to play out. It's just pure direction. Like, direction just is not as good as, like if you watch Predator, you can actually see John McTiernan just weave magic with the way he's cutting around the scenes and how he's building the tension of the attacks happening and that kind of thing. And there's several sequences in this where I was going, this is shot in such a basic way that there's nothing special about it. Nothing feels, and so much of it's in broad daylight and big open spaces. It feels like there's a distinct lack of personality outside of the constant heroic kind of like emotional score that's a bit too heavy on top. It doesn't feel earned, to say the least. So, that was the big thing for me, is that it just feels like it's trying really hard. It's not like awful because like the effects are solid enough, and like I think Alan Ritchson's a solid enough dude, the leading actor. Like, he's not, I wouldn't give him anything like super dramatic to do, but he's perfectly fine in the role they've given him. But it all just comes down to direction being kind of mediocre, the script just lingering. Like, this movie should have been 90 minutes. This movie should have been 90 minutes tight, no more. And a lot of that I'd have cut out in the first chunk. A little bit at the end as well, but mostly that first half hour could have been trimmed down heavily.
Oh yeah, no. The without spoiling too much of anything, like the ending should have ended like 3 times before we actually got the ending. It just kept going, and the point that they chose to end on felt like such a nothing as well. It's like, okay, we keep going, and then right as we're in the middle of like, well, I guess we're just going to continue with this, it just stops.
They want it to be poignant.
It feels more like it was trying to attempt like a Sopranos style ending, where it's like, let's just cut it right in the middle just to really catch them off guard.
I didn't say they did it well. I'm saying that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple points in this where, like, script wise, it feels like the movie's trying to be like, yeah, this is that moment. Like, we did it. We really nailed it. And I'm just like, no, you didn't, because everything else around it sucks.
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed because the reason why I even put this on the schedule, right? One, it's a sci-fi movie, obviously, but 2, I'd heard some positive buzz. Not necessarily, oh, it's great or it's like a must-see, but I'd heard oh, it's one of those types of movies. It's kind of fun in the context where you probably think it's going to be fun. And to me, that said, oh, it's going to be a fun B movie, right? Like, or at least that's what people are telling me. And honestly, no, it's just as bland as any other Netflix thing. I don't like every time someone says that about a Netflix movie, I'm like, did you watch movies before Netflix movies? Do you understand what the good ones were like? Because I don't think you do.
No, I went into this and I would say, you know, about 10 minutes in, I was like, oh, this is a U.S. Army recruitment ad. But then about 15 minutes in, I went, oh, this is a Netflix movie. Like, it didn't feel like it was doing anything to step above it.
When two things come together and mesh perfectly.
Both are horrible in their own rights, but Jesus. Like, I'll spoil a little bit here. I almost, for the sake of the joke, for my homework today, did Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, just to like really nail home that military recruitment ad style thing, but I could not bring myself to do two horrible movies in a row like that.
Yeah, you know, it's the whole thing where it's like, you know, I don't think it's a spoiler to say the brother dies. Like that's the inciting thing at the start of the movie.
That's the thing Jai Courtney does best.
But you know, that's the whole thing. His brother's dead, and his guilt over his brother's death is what drives him to do what his brother wanted to do, and that's the whole thing. You know, like his brother's killed in the line of duty, and there's not a single shred of the main character that ever maybe questions that being in the military was part of the problem. You know, like it's never like even enters as frame of reference to think that, oh, maybe I should critique the system here or critique the powers that be. For, you know, why are they in Afghanistan, that kind of thing. Never a shred of that. Like, the military does no wrong in the context of this movie, which is why it feels so surface level propaganda.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing is like, not everything needs to be a deep insight into trying to like analyze whatever, but it does feel like this one is purposefully overlooking some stuff. Like, they have multiple sequences in this movie where he wakes up with PTSD and they're just like, yeah, that's just a thing, you just got to deal with that. Everyone in the army just accepts that. It's like, you really shouldn't have that problem. I mean,
a superior officer at one point does say, maybe you should have went to one of those support group meetings. That's as far as they go.
I thought for certain that scene was going to end with the superior officer saying, we'll let you continue if you take better care of yourself. But instead they're like, nah, you're too soft. Get out of here, soy boy.
Yeah, no, because like, you can have military characters and not have to do any sort of deep insight. The problem is, though, is this goes so far in the other direction of trying to put them in a positive. You could just be neutral. You could just be like, obviously we're doing military characters because it makes sense in the context of what we're doing, and never say anything necessarily positive or negative about the fact that they are military characters. It's more just about, okay, they're in this situation now and they've got skills, and that's how they progress from there. But this is so much about the desire to be there and to want to advance in it and the honor of being in the military. Like, it focuses on that so much that it's sickening at a certain point. So so no, did not like it. I mean, I guess it was better than Atlas if we want to, throw some stones at other Netflix movies.
Yeah, if we're ranking Netflix movies, yes, this is better than Atlas. It is a low bar to cross, but by God, they did it.
Is it better than Electric State?
Depends on what metric we're measuring it on. I feel like it has aspects that are better than Electric State.
Yeah, Electric State, at least because of the art they based the movie on, has a bit more personality, I guess.
I think I would say Electric State is the bigger disappointment. It had so much more that it could have done. This one, it felt like it lived up to its goals, but like they weren't high goals to reach.
Yeah, well, anyway, so this is a losing battle. Whoever wins, we lose, as the old Alien versus Predator poster said. As far as anything else goes, I mean, I don't even know, like, before spoilers, I mean, like, is there anything else to even really discuss?
I didn't notice nor care about the score. None of the visual effects really stood out to me as wow, that's super hyper impressive.
I noticed the score. I noticed it constantly.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was there. It was so overdone like the entire time.
I must have just tuned it out at some point. Like I was just done with it.
No, I like it says all the way to the end of the movie. I was noticing the inspirational, like heroic kind of thing that would come in all the time. It was trying to pretend that we were emotional about what was happening. We really cared about the characters. It was really it was like they were trying to like have the score elevate the entire thing, which, don't get me wrong, can happen sometimes in some ways, but it's also a very generic way of doing it here. There's not like the music has like a distinct style that's like making it give it a vibe or a personality.
Just generally action/military-ish.
Yeah, pretty much. Because some personality would go a long way, which is something this movie's lacking in multiple layers.
Yep.
Personality for the characters, personality for the movie, personality for whatever.
Yeah, I will also say one thing that just caught me off guard with what you saying of like how much could be cut and stuff like that is just how slow the characters are to get to the point of, oh, we're in a sci-fi movie. Because I think it's like in a 100-minute movie, it's like 60 minutes in of them saying, are you saying this thing came from outer space? And I'm like, are you serious, guys?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's one of the sort of the cynical one on the team, number 15, thinks we never went to the moon, so he's especially doubtful of any science fiction things happening.
But he literally also says they got to tell us what's going on at like Roswell and Area 51. So clearly he thinks aliens are real, but also that couldn't be an alien.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and try and explain the consistency or lack thereof with the conspiracy theorist, all right? No, basically, here's the thing. His conspiracies are always contradictions. If the general populace says this thing is A, he will say no, it's actually B. If they say it's B, he say no, it's definitely A. That's it. That's the entire logic.
Boy, I love people like that. I love contrarians. They're so fun to hang around with. I'm glad I had one in this movie.
Again, I'm not saying this is a good quality.
No.
But yeah, you're right. It takes like an hour plus before they're like, oh, we actually think this might be some sort of alien robot and not just like experimental tech that's went awry.
Right. And that's the thing is like, if it were a thing where they were like maybe kind of entertaining the idea before that point, but never buying into it, or if they never had a reason to think that before that point, I'm fine with it taking as late as it needs to. But they had like multiple points before this where they're like, we just strapped like 15 pounds of C4 to this thing and it didn't leave a scratch. Guess the government's really shelling out the big bucks for us this time around. It's like, or maybe that's something outer space, baby.
I'm pretty sure the military basically have unlimited funds as it is. I don't know what you mean they're just shelling out the big bucks now. They always shell out the big bucks. They always have big bucks.
It's a training exercise. That's the thing. They're just like, yeah, you guys are recruits, but no, clearly we're going to do this experimental tech on you on the way out.
Yeah, well, the one bit of the setup that I actually thought was interesting, potentially, is that because it is like the final test in a training thing, they don't have real weapons. Like, well, they have real guns, but they only have blanks or anything, right? They have no actual weapons to fight back with. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That separates it from Predator in a big way. It's like, oh shit, like they are completely helpless against this thing, and they're going to have to try and think outside the box. And I feel like it. Like, it's not that they don't do anything with it, but it just kind of feels like it doesn't feel, we don't get into them doing more problem solving. I wanted them to try and think of solutions, and it felt like they were never, until very near the end, when there's finally some, thought goes into it. But for most of the movie, it's just run, thing catches up, run, thing catches up, run, thing catches up, over and over again.
No, and that is the major issue of this, is that they made the robot too invincible. So there wasn't this idea of we have to stand and fight and stop or whatever. The entire plot is we just need to run away and hopefully we can get to somebody who does have weapons that can take it down. But then they also ruined it the other way, where at a certain point they do get access to weapons very briefly, and it does nothing. Like, they can't actually do anything for this. So damned if they do, damned if they don't in this situation. But it feels like they didn't use it to its fullest extent of, okay, how are they going to take down this thing without weapons was the promise given at the beginning.
Yeah, well, it's not, again, I hate to keep going back to Predator, but if it's a good case study in comparison to this, because it's like, okay, you spend time setting up the rules of how powerful the enemy is and what it can do. How is it finding them? So in this case, it's got this big scanner thing in Predator. It's, he's got heat vision and he's doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we learn more things. And in Predator, there's a very pivotal couple points where it's like, okay, this thing's really good and it's hunting us. But there was blood. If it bleeds, we can kill it. It's not invincible. Oh, here's a trick so it can't see us. That's introduced at a very pivotal point. Like, and it feels like, okay, he's like, Arnold's been given some tools that he can maybe turn into an advantage to have a chance at beating it. And you just don't get that here. There's no sense of progression to the actual, like, fighting back kind of thing.
No, there is a section in this where, spoiler stuff, they eventually manage to get a piece of it off. It's a robot and they break a piece of it off. And you would think that would be the moment of the, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Like, we can dismantle it if we can break off a piece. Doesn't come up again. Does not matter to the final stuff of taking this out. It does not apply.
Now, instead, the solution, which we obviously won't spoil, is something that he just kind of pulls out like a minute before it goes into action. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think we just have to do spoilers so we can get into talking about the rest of the movie. So, spoilers for War Machine. From this point on, you have been warned. So, what do you want to talk about?
I mean, I guess the flashback's the most obvious point to start, where him and Jai Courtney are talking about fixing up a truck because Jai Courtney keeps on jamming it full of Stop Leak. That'll come up later.
Is Stop Leak a real brand, or?
No idea. I'd never heard of it before, but it sounds like the sort of thing that is like used all the time in the military, the way they describe it. I do see, quick Google search has it.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Sure.
But notably, you said that as if they're like, outside their house, like fixing up a truck. Like, no, they're in Afghanistan. They're serving in the military, and Alan Ritchson's the mechanic for the squad or whatever, and he comes up and they're bantering and whatever, and it's like, okay, they like each other, they're good brothers, and Jacko's like, come on, let's be Rangers together, let's apply to the program, let's do it, hurrah, hurrah. Oh no, missiles come in and start blowing us up, and my brother's dead.
Right at the very moment that we decided what we were going to do about our future in just 2 weeks from retirement.
And we kind of keep cutting back to this, like, and him like carrying his brother back to camp, like over the course of the movie. Every time he goes to sleep, we get a PTSD flashback of him carrying his dead brother.
That's the thing. Beginning of the movie, it looks like he's dead. And over the course of the movie, as we keep flashing back, he keeps saying, like, no, I was carrying him and he was alive. He was alive that whole time. And then it shows the clip. I'm like, nah, he's dead. I don't know where you're getting this heartbeat from, but it ain't him. So
he shows up 2 years later to this program. He's been rejected for medical reasons up until now. And as the guy at the desk says, oh, you just made the age cut off. And I'm like, I guess we'll believe you, but there's no one else his age in this program. Nope. He's closer to the age of the people who are like in charge, like putting them through the program, than he is the other people in the program. Which it's so funny because like I feel like, all right, so you're going to do a little bit of like a rift between like maybe the younger people where they think, why is this older guy here, kind of thing. Instead, they're actually a lot more reaching out to him, and he's the one who's like, nah, leave me alone. I'm a loner. I'm a lone wolf.
I'm just here to fulfill my promise to my brother. I don't need to care about any of you.
And I don't want to be in charge, even though I'm the one that has actual deployment experience. I don't want to be in charge. I just want to be a grunt. Just put me in the line, sir. I
really do want... The entire thing of this movie is him saying, like, I want to be a ranger for the sake of my brother. Like, I made that promise or whatever. And it goes a bit deeper with motivations. But, like, I feel like the moment that he got accepted, he'd just be like, all right, I'm out. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, he keeps,
like, it doesn't feel like there's any motivation to stay.
He keeps talking about crossing the finish line in the final test, which is like a sort of line they've got in front of the building in the camp. And when, like, he keeps saying this over and over, eventually one of the superiors is like, you realize that finish line is actually a starting line, right? Like, that's the start of your career as a ranger, where you're going to be in all these like horrible situations for decades if you don't die along the way. So it's like, but he just cares about finishing. That's all he cares about. And we get 15, 20 minutes of like, we'll get like a montage of multiple tests, a bunch of people will get let go home because they've been cut from the program. We'll see him eating alone away from the others. We'll see the others talking about him a little bit, about NASA on the news program. Here's another montage. Here's some more montages. You want some more montage? Here's some montage.
It's the big thing that comes out of it in terms of everyone else is they give the backstory. We as much as we saw in the flashback already at this point, they're like, oh yeah, I heard that he carried his brother across the desert and he managed to get him the whole way to this base and he was awarded the Silver Star because of that. He's a hero. He's a war hero.
Yes. I have a silver toilet seat because I shat a lot once in a restaurant and they gave me a big silver toilet seat for it.
Anyway,
I was dropping nukes that day. Don't you worry.
I'll be honest, Pete. Usually I can follow the connections in your head of how you ended up A to B. I don't quite know how we got there.
Do I know how we got there? We got there because I am so disinterested talking about this stupid movie that I'm making toilet seat jokes.
Fair enough.
That's where we are. That's where we are here, everyone.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I mean, so the whole big thing is that he eventually they do a swimming test where they're walking under like the bottom of a swimming pool holding weights, and everyone else like sort of gets so far and they have to go up for breath, so they drop the weights, but he won't give up. So he ends up passing out or like semi-drowning underwater, and they pull him up and they, you know, the bit of CPR, he's all right, but the superiors are like, he's a liability. He doesn't know when to quit. Blah blah blah, and like, hey, we're going to offer you a voluntary exit right now because you know don't get me wrong, you're like the best candidate we've ever had at a physical level. You're a tank. You're faster than everyone else. You're stronger than everyone else. But you don't want to be a leader. You're not like, you know, building camaraderie with the others. Like you're a liability, son. So make a choice.
For the life of me, I thought this scene was always going to end the way it did end, but like it felt like it was supposed to be a swerve. Because they say, we're going to give you the chance to voluntarily quit because you're a liability. We're going to kick you out of here. And if we kick you out of here, that's the end of the road for you. You can't continue any further. And all I could think is, wasn't this his last chance anyway? Like he's at the age limit. He's not going to be able to try again no matter what. So what are you talking about? He's if he gets kicked out or voluntarily, this is the end of the road no matter what.
Yeah, I think the other thing for me about I just looking at his character from like an arc perspective. Obviously, the movie treats it as, oh, he has to accept that he should be a leader and like you know join in with the others, right? He has to be part of the team, and that's not necessarily a bad arc to have for a character. But honestly, at least from a personal perspective, all I felt was like the arc should have been is him coming to reconcile with the fact of why he's even here and doing this. He's doing it for the wrong reasons, right? Everything about this is like, oh, I'm doing this for my brother, and it feels like the movie never wants you to question if that's actually healthy.
Not at all.
But it isn't.
I mean, at the very end of the movie, he is like kind of just open with the other guy. He's just like, yeah, I'm hoping that if I do this, I can finally get some sleep. Like my brother will rest in peace, and I've completed his goal or whatever. And the other guy's just like, all right. And he doesn't push on it. He doesn't do anything like that. He's just like, cool. All right, sure, whatever. And like, fair, but that's the moment where you have that arc. That's the moment where you're able to push on it and say, do you think your brother would want you to be doing that? Do you think that like that's the thing? And to be fair for Jai Courtney, yeah, he probably would. He'd be like, avenge me. But
yes, avenge me with a boomerang.
No, we haven't gotten like formally introduced in the point of this review, but I just have to point out the character of Seven, because Seven is the guy who did take on leadership. He was brought in and he was acting as the squad leader. And only when they go out on their final mission here, which we'll get to in a second,
and
do they say...
This is provoked by 81 refusing to leave. Right. Basically, this is like, oh, well, what do we do with them? We'll force him to be a leader for the actual final test. And that's what they do.
He's going to be forced to be a team player. Seven still kind of steps up, does a little bit of leadership, but mostly leaves it to 81. And then for the rest of this movie, it just feels like everyone in the writer's room had a hard on for putting Seven through the most miserable possible things he could possibly be in.
Well, here's the thing, right? So Seven like helps them out by giving a little speech when 81 wasn't going to. And he kind of like makes sure the others listen to him. He's like, hey, listen to your leader, listen to your leader. So he's backing him up, so it makes him a little likable at the very least. But you can tell that when he gets injured, basically in the first big bit of action, he gets injured, right? And he has to be carried, he has to be put in a stretcher, they have to carry him across a river, all that stuff. And yeah, you're right. He goes through a shit ton where he's getting in water, he's been dragged out of a tank, all these other things. But,
I love it.
But all I could think the entire time was that, yeah, this is all because they want the visual of him carrying someone over the line, because it's like his brother.
Yeah.
This is all designed so that he's got someone to carry who can live by the end. And it's like, okay.
Look, they broke his leg at the second firefight. Like, it's not even at the second one. Like, he was dropped off a cliff and he broke his leg. That's all you need. You're fine with that. If he needs to be limping the rest of the time and then right at the end he says, I can't go on any further, and then he gets carried, fine. But like, I could not stop laughing 2 separate times in this. One where they're trying to haul him over a river and the cable snaps, and so he's just dangling wildly over the bridge. And the second is when they're in a Humvee being chased and he just slides out the back. And I'm like, God damn, God wants you dead, Seven. You need to accept that fact.
Except he's the only one who lives, except the main character, so clearly someone was looking out for him.
No, true. I think a character at one point comes up and says like, hey, you still with us? And he's like, I didn't know I had a choice in that. And I'm like, you don't. You have Satan who is torturing you every step along the way.
Oh dear. I mean, that's basically gets us to the actual main part of the movie. As late as it gets to actually get us into that, but you know, they go on their training mission, and the mission is to find a downed aircraft, which they need to destroy so it doesn't fall into enemy hands. The idea that, you know, in a real scenario, it's like, oh, we've got a plane with secrets on it, we need to destroy it so the enemy can't use it. And they find the crashed alien thing, right? It's this big futuristic looking hunk of metal with like angles to it and all that. And they're like, oh man, they really did a lot with the special effects for this training mission. And they're like, and of course, when Alan Ritchson like gets a whiff that maybe they're a little bit off, like by like maybe 100 meters, he goes like searching and he finds what the actual thing they were supposed to find was. And it's like an old like World War II jet that they've dumped out here, and it's like, yeah, of course it's just an old thing they had lying around. It's, you know, got no value because they might blow up. So it's like, yeah, okay, of course. So yeah, so obviously the end of the movie reveals that there's thousands of these robots all over the world, but we don't know that here. For all we know, this is the only one, and maybe it crashed here by accident, right? So it kind of feels like in the scene that them trying to blow it up is what wakes it up. That's what it feels like in the scene.
Yeah, I was waiting for that reveal, especially as it was like halfway doing Predator the whole time. I was like, it didn't do anything until you attacked it with C4, and then it went on a rampage. Are we doing a thing on like it's only responding to the violence that you instigated on it? Is that what we're doing here? But by the end of the movie, no, we don't have to think that deep. They're all warlike. They're all going to kill all of humanity. We just need to get the jump on them.
They're war machines, David.
They are. I am convinced that this movie actually, like, someone in the marketing department was kicking themselves because they wanted this movie to be called Death March, because right before they go on their mission, the final mission is called the Death March, and they say it in that dramatic voice like 4 times in a row, like, Death March is on.
Why do you think they had to change it?
I don't know. I think someone else is just like, it's a giant alien robot. What does Death March have to do with that?
Yeah,
what about War Machine?
Yeah, we'll call it something that people are confused with a Marvel character. That sounds like a great idea.
That's how you get clicks. People think it's the next Marvel movie, and then, oops, after you're 30 minutes in, you're too late to click out.
I mean, I do appreciate that when this thing does wake up and starts firing, like bullets at people, like heads get taken off, entire legs get blown away. I appreciate that. I enjoy a bit of gore, so by all means.
Oh yeah, no, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, because that was one of the major pluses for me, is the fact that it's creative with its violence, in that it isn't just an explosion and then the person is just dead on the ground or whatever. Like, this ship's shots are either moving so quick or their energy bolts or whatever that it cuts out perfectly circular holes like through people's bodies, and it's creative visual whenever you see it.
Yep. So, like half of them get wiped out as soon as it wakes up, pretty much, and then like a bunch of them are left to try and like climb. And there does some hiding against like a cliff wall as it's trying to scan over the edge, and obviously it's this big hulking thing. So we do the Jurassic Park thing of like the rumble of the footsteps. We also have the magnetics are messed up when it's nearby, so anytime their compass starts to freak out, it's like, oh shit, it's within 50 feet or whatever it is.
Yeah, so the idea of the mission now is that they are trying to get to the village that they had to get to anyway for their normal mission, because at least they know there's going to be somebody there waiting, and they can be like, hey guys, giant alien robot, can we get some help here?
Yeah, and I do appreciate, to go back to that, like I like the setup of like we don't have any real weapons. It's like when they start moving, 81's like, hey, drop the guns, they're just dead weight, like they can't do anything, like they survive, that's the point now. So so there's more hiding, there's running through forest, it fires at a bunch of them. And
I will say that one thing that kind of gets me a little bit, and I thought we were setting up in the beginning, was rules for the robot. I thought that it was a thing where, okay, first it does the scan, and then any life signs it picks up in that scan are just immediately killed. And maybe that's the case, but as we progress further down the movie, either there are more complicated rules or the rules just don't matter. And I feel like it's the latter more than the former.
Well, there's a bit when they're hiding against the cliff wall, and it's scanning over the edge, but obviously it can't go perfect against the wall, so there's a little bit of a gap for them all to hide in. It goes along, and it just happens to be that Seven's foot is sticking out into where the blue sort of like scanner laser beam is, and it picks up. And what I thought was going to happen is that like a little missile or a little direct hit would come down and take off his foot, and he'd be missing a foot. That's what I thought was going to happen. Instead, like 81 just yells "move," and they all just start running because like hail of bullets, like it just goes nuts, fire everything kind of thing.
No, characters have exactly two reactions whenever the like magnet starts spinning. It's either I'm going to survive and I start running immediately, or it's the oh my god, and then they immediately get hit because for some reason they decide to sit still for 5 seconds. Yeah,
I thought they were going to play more with sneaking around it, like getting out of his line of vision, because as much as it is obviously very powerful, it is this hulking mass. You can sort of, if you stand underneath it, like between its legs, can you kind of just go undetected kind of thing?
Or the idea of like the life sign thing, like can you hide behind a tree? Is that a thing? Can you pose as something else? Can we use mud? Is it a heat vision thing?
I mean, I don't think behind the tree does work. I think it is a direct line of sight thing. It doesn't seem to be, if the laser beam's broken with anything, it seems to be, that doesn't get you. So they could have played with that more. They could have done more things with them. But like I said, it becomes this repetitious thing of we just kind of run away. Oh, we somehow got far enough away we can rest for 5-10 minutes, and then it shows up again when we're in the middle of trying to get across the river. And here, 3 more characters die instantly.
They have the balls to have a character during the initial attack go missing and then come back in later on, and I couldn't have told you just by looking which character it was. Like I'm like, oh yeah, that one, hooray, I'm glad they survived.
I think that was Keenan Lonsdale's character, I think, but I mean,
sure, whatever.
But I mean, like, I don't have a whole lot to go on. Because the whole thing is that Alan Ritchson, 81, he swims across the river, gets a line, and they've got like Seven in a stretcher kind of thing, and they're going to put him across it. The robot shows up though, starts blasting, like Danny DeVito anyway, started blasting.
Yeah.
And they fall into the river. So he's in a stretcher, like going down the river. They're all in the river, and they're having to dunk under the water to try and not get hit by the giant laser beams and rocket grenade things that the thing's firing. And then eventually there's a waterfall, which, of course there's a waterfall, so they all go into the waterfall.
But then down at the bottom is where the other guy is, and he's like, yeah, I've just been out of the story the whole time. Crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
Was it before or after this that they got to the I guess it would have been after this. They got to the village.
It's after, because one of the smarter little things they do is once they're walking through the forest, 81 stops them and notes that there's a tripwire, and it's not like a trap to like hurt them. It's just to set off a flare to sort of signal that someone's breached the perimeter. So they walk around it or walk over it or whatever. But it's a nice little setup because when they're in the village, one of those flares goes off and they're like, shit. That thing's coming for us. I was like, okay, that was good language because you set it up and then it paid off, and it's like a timer started. We know it's within however many feet, so let's get going.
Yeah, no, and they explicitly say like there are 3 waves. We're going to come across 3 things of tripwires, so you get that countdown as each flare goes off. You know that it is approaching from that direction.
Yeah, and they find an armored vehicle, which it's a little bit dislodged, so they have to kind of pull it back onto its wheels and whatnot. But they get it all set up. They get it all ready to go. There's a real big gun in this thing, and that leads to number 15, who's been kind of the cynical one and kind of the like. Honestly, I thought he was going to be more of an antagonist than he actually was. Like right from the get-go, he's set up as he is the dickhead. That it will probably feel nice when him and the main character finally like act like friends. Like, not that he's going to be a villain, but more he's eventually going to have that thing where, oh, he's earned his respect, so now that feels like a big deal. And they kind of try and do it a little bit here, just before he dies, where like he knows some mechanics stuff. So 81's like, oh, like he quotes some from earlier. He makes a little joke.
Well, this is where we get the deeper characterization, and by that it's still kiddie pool level, which is to say, like, 15 is chewing out 81 because he wants to just keep moving and moving and moving. They've lost a bunch of friends
like
along
a
the way.
machine.
A machine built for war. I'll call it Iron Man. He's chewing him out, and he basically says, yeah, not all of us are war heroes like you. And 81 gets all pissed off by this. He's like, what do you mean war hero? He's like, yeah, we know about you and your silver star, blah, blah, blah. And we get the reveal that he did carry his brother all those miles across the desert, trying to get over to the base or the village or whatever. But it turns out that he fell short of the perimeter of the base by like 100 yards. And because of that, he's convinced that his brother would have lived if he had made it across the finish line. And that's where we get the slightly deeper thing of why he wants to cross the finish line, is because it's the symbolic finishing the quest to save his brother and whatnot. And once he does that reveal and all that, 15 kind of takes a chill pill and it's just like, okay, all right, yeah, we're buddies now, we're fine.
Yeah. And then as the war machine's coming for them, like, shit, we have no ammo for this big gun. And 15's like, I saw some over there, I'm going to go get it. So he actually gives his life going to get this ammo. He gets 2 boxes of ammo, and he actually gets hit with like a rocket, and it propels the boxes of ammo at the armored truck, so they get the ammo. Basically, he dies and the ammo flies towards them. But the thing is, though, as fine as that is that he gave his life to give them a fighting chance, the actual gun ends up doing nothing to this thing, so he died for nothing. The gun was so ineffective, it did, like, I thought maybe, okay, it obviously won't, like, stop it, but maybe they'll, like, jam its vent or something with one lucky shot, and that'll give them, like, 30 seconds to get away, something like that.
No, yeah, you're right, because this entire sequence is just, okay, we've still got like 5 or 6 cast members. We've still got to
kill them all.
People left alive. All of them got to die, every single one.
Yep. Except from 7 in the stretcher, who just goes sliding out the back once there's a hole.
God, because they end up doing the thing like the machine, as they're outpacing it, as they're getting away from it, it fires off a bunch of rocket grenades, and then it just a whole special effects sequence where it explodes the van upwards, it flips over, and then everyone else is dead except for 81 because he's God's special boy.
And he witnesses it like calling to a mothership or something, where it's like opened up and there's a big beam of light going up out of the sky.
Yeah, what was that?
I think that was teasing the ending, that this is like an assault by like a military force as opposed to one rogue alien robot.
So I would be okay with that in that sequence if it were a thing where everyone else had not already been assaulted. Like everyone else had, like all that stuff happened worldwide simultaneously. If it were saying, hey guys, come on down, the water's fine, then I'd be more okay with it. But they also earlier on in the movie set up the idea of, wait a minute, the village has been wiped out how'd that happen? Because we've been in front of this thing the whole time. How could it have done that? And I thought they were setting up that there were multiple robots because of that.
No, that was because the robot came flying through the village when it landed. Because that's where they sort of see the hole in the mountain, and like so that's with them figuring that out. I mean, I think this isn't about the world. This is about the teasing for the audience that this is not just one robot, is what this call to home is.
I mean, fair. I feel like that was like super obvious regardless. Like that just felt normal to me.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just that's what the logic of the scene is. So yeah, so 81 finds Seven on a stretcher, tries to drag him through mud and breaks down because he keeps slipping, and Seven finally wakes up and is like, here's your pep talk. Here, let's get emotional. I knew your brother. That's why I knew what the tattoo meant in your arm.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention the tattoo.
Yeah, what, NFQ? Never effing quit?
DFQ.
Oh, DFQ. Yep. Don't effing quit. Okay.
Yeah, which I think it's right after the van blows up is where we get the like final one of the flashbacks or whatever saying that. And then we get, I think, Jai Courtney's voice just deep and grumbly saying that, and that's what shoots him awake again. I'm like, okay, you're acting like this is a thing that we've just been talking about this whole time, but we don't actually get it until this point here in your conversation with Seven.
Yeah. Anyway, he looks over, sees like a crane, and then looks to where the crane's coming. It's a quarry type area, and he gets an idea. And this ends up being our big finale, right? It's not quite the end of the movie because there's a lot of epilogue, but this is our big finale. Is that he's going to use this? And don't get me wrong, I think yes, we find a location that's got heavy equipment and stuff. I can see how that becomes our playground, our final stage for whatever the showdown is going to be. But it does happen so relatively quickly with no build up to me, where there's a couple of quick scenes of him like, you know, grabbing some supplies and like whatnot. But ultimately what he does is he sets up some explosives so that when the machine walks to a certain ledge, it brings him down into the quarry area. And then he drives out in a big giant tractor to pin the robot against the wall under the crane, and the crane, he presses the button and it starts dropping rocks onto... And the goal here is that right before he saw the quarry, when he looks at the robot in the distance, he notes that the top of the robot occasionally has to ventilate, where it kind of opens up and there's like steam coming out. And his idea is that he will make it kind of overheat and it'll break down because he's going to shut off that vent.
Going back to the original conversation with his brother in Afghanistan about the stop leak.
Yes.
It all ties together.
So that's what happens, and I actually do really like him getting to a construction-y type area and using construction, like it's very Aliens, right? The power loader, like, okay, what can I use? Oh, there's a tractor, there's a crane, there's a bulldozer. I like the idea of like using something in a location like that. It's just so simple and like one and done, where he just drives out and pins it, and that's all it is. It's a little anticlimactic, and then they have, as the robot's like sort of overheats and dies from inside. When it keels over at the end, a bunch of its bombs just come rolling out onto the puddle, and he's like, oh shit, and he has to run out. So we get the running away from the explosion at the end of Predator. It's almost the exact same shot of him diving as the explosion happens behind him.
Absolutely. They are shameless in every one of their ripoffs. And I agree. I think that they... Again, it comes down to that idea of knowing the rules, knowing like... how does the robot work, all that sort of stuff. Because when we get into this final fight, there is no rules. All we know is the goal, which is he has to mess up the ventilation. But when it comes down to fighting it, it doesn't matter whether or not he's scanned, which is the only rule that we've got. All that matters is this bulldozer stronger than the robot? And they seem evenly matched, but somehow he pulls it out. Like, that's all we get. There's nothing where we feel like he's overcoming or coming to some clever conclusion during this fight. It's just, oh, there's the goal. We're just going to go ahead and do it.
I mean, at one point, after the whole truck section, there's a moment where there's like a bit of a spark at the truck, and it gets the robot's attention, and he sort of, oh shit, we need to skedaddle because it's coming over here. And I thought, oh, you can lure it places with sound. If you set something off to make a sound, you can sort of distract it. And I thought, oh, that'll play into the final confrontation. You know, I thought they were setting things up that was all going to come together into a package of like, okay, I'm going to use everything I've learned to win. and the vent thing is like just him noticing it like right before it's time for the showdown, so if it doesn't feel properly set up enough. It's the sort of thing where if they'd showed that like more prominently earlier and it looked kind of evil, like, oh, it's like letting off steam Bennett kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no.
I mean, I would during the sequence where he's like, it's ventilating, it's doing like a 360 sweep with like 4 blue lasers. I couldn't even tell it was ventilating. Like where it was, like I was just like, yeah, I guess that's what it's doing. Sure, why not?
Yeah. So it just like set up your rules and then use them to actually have a climax where the character has to use those rules to win. Here, that's not what happened. It was too simplistic. It was poorly set up, and even though there's a lot of potential in the location that they had this showdown, none of it actually came to much. And it's like, and it would, it would differentiate from Predator because it's not about making traps like your Rambo. It's more about, oh no, we need something big. We need equipment to fight this thing. But hey, this is like, this stuff wasn't designed to fight, but God, we're going to use it to do it anyway.
I just imagine a different cut of this movie where like he goes through all the effort, everything is identical. He blocks the vents off the top, and then some lower vents open. It's like, oh well, I have nothing to counter that. Never mind.
Dear. So he carries Seven all the way back to base, and there's like, it's half damaged. You can see tents set up. This has obviously not just been a them thing. And the people in charge, like, yeah, they've been everywhere. We lost half the men of the battalion, blah, blah, blah. How did you take one of these things down with no weapons? And he explains his vent thing, like the vent theory.
Again, he has like a little one-liner, and this is the first point where I'm like, and scene, and cut. We know how it happened. We know he can explain how it happened. We don't need to see this part, but they do it.
Yep. And then he's like, here's your ranger badge. You're a ranger now, and you're kind of a hero because you survived and you killed one of these things. You should really talk to the men. So the end of the movie, not the very final scene, but the big thing at the end is he actually finally gets in front of a crowd, like the military, and gives a rah-rah speech. And it's just such a, we don't quit because we're rangers and we go in first. Yeah, that's all it is. It's fluff. It's nothing. The music's going full inspirational, like patriotic bullshit. And
as soon as he's done with the speech and he says like, Rangers, let's go. And he right there, cut. But no, we keep going.
Yep, we see that they're in cities. We see news reports of them stomping around, and they're in helicopters all flying off. They've got a mission to like evacuate civilians so they can use heavy ordnance on the robots. And the actual final scene, though, is when they're on the helicopter and 81 falls asleep, and like whoever's the leader on the helicopter is like calling out all the men on the chopper, and he gets to 81 and he's like, "Hey, did anyone catch his name? Because we don't even know his name." And then it just cuts yeah.
I want you to, like, I know you don't like the movie, but I just want you to like imagine Fight Club, and then like someone comes up and is like, hey, wait a minute, did we ever get your name? Like right at the very end. It's like, who cares? That's not the point of the movie. What are we talking about?
I don't know what to tell you. It felt like it was trying to have a moment of like, oh, you never knew the character's name. He was just a number. He was just a soldier. That's all he was. Like, I do not give a shit.
No, not at all. And of course, because of the way that it ended, on the Wikipedia page for War Machine, there is a future section where War Machines as the franchise beginning.
Ah, yes, because we did a lot of Predator for the first movie, so we have to take from Aliens in the second movie, of course.
And then we get the War Machine. War Machine Badlands. That's in there.
The funny thing is, though, is that like the second one, presumably, unless they do something to create a situation that's more like the first one, has to be very different because it's just more of a war movie against, it's more of a War of the Worlds type thing than it is a Predator.
I don't know if you guys ever did this movie. Did you ever do Skyline?
Oh no, that's in our future.
Oh, great. I already watched Skyline and the sequel Skylines, which is the laziest thing imaginable. But the way that they did it was kind of anthology based. Like Skyline did it from like one person's perspective, and then Skylines was just another person's perspective, but it was the same event. I would imagine that'd be the easiest way to do it, and then have Ritchson show up at the end being like, "You've been inscripted, let's go, hoorah."
Nah, I think they want Ritchson to be the face of the whole thing, so I feel like they're gonna just be like, no, his chopper gets shot down in the middle of X city, and it's now him on his own in a city trying to fight a war machine.
Yeah, or maybe like they adapted. They no longer have the ventilation problem.
They're all liquid cooled.
They fly now.
They're liquid cooled. Well, technically, they already fly.
Do they?
Kind of. Well, I mean, it has jets in the back, at least to like lower
Sure,
self.
they just never use it.
Yeah, but I assumed it could fly because of the way it lands on Earth. I mean, maybe it's just meant to crash land, but I figured that at the very least it can, like...
I mean, I thought it just punched through a mountain. Like, it's sturdy, but it doesn't have a lot of guidance.
This is a bit of a technicality, but I think it's designed to be able to move in space, which is technically not flying because you don't have to, there's no gravity. But I do think it's meant to be mobile in space at the very least.
All right. Well, I hope that we never have to find out.
We're going to have to find out at some point.
No, look, I know if they make the movie, we're doing the movie.
Yeah.
I hope they don't make the movie.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm game for that. All right, David, what are you giving War Machine out of 10?
It's not a lot. I'll tell you that much. I think going into the review, I was like mildly annoyed and disappointed by it, but I wasn't like upset with it. I've soured a little bit more as we've talked about it, because it is just annoying to have to talk about how much it misses the mark every time it has a chance to do something right.
It wasn't as torturous as other things have been. In fact, we noted during the ratings rundown segment, which you can get on Patreon, that this is the director of Expendables 3, and I'm not surprised, actually, having learned that.
No, that's right up his alley. So I think this one is probably just gonna get like a straight 5 from me. My disappointment and anger with the storytelling and script are balanced out by how much it is just oh, look at them shoot the big robot, and the robot looks good. Like, if I went into this only expecting to be able to just turn off my brain and watch an action movie, perhaps I could have gotten something out of it, but that's not how I roll. So it's just getting straight down the middle.
I don't know. There's something just so bland about like, once you have all this, I mean, technically it's not great, it's camouflage, but like something about the military is just so grey to me. Like, yeah. And I mean, 5's the ceiling. I think I'm leaning more towards a 4, to be honest.
Okay.
Maybe a 4.5, maybe just slightly under that halfway mark, but it's bad. I think it's bad.
No, yeah, I was bouncing around 4.5 and 5. I was just giving it a little bit of benefit, just a tiny little itch up.
Like, I've been saying on streams this year, since the start of the year, that I'm waging a war on mediocrity, and this is me waging that war. 4 out of 10.
I guess I'm going to be out of a job soon in that case.
Do better. Not you. I mean, I mean Hollywood, but you too. Why not? I mean, you may as well do better.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm trying, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh dear. But yeah, there you go. That's War Machine. I'll forget this exists hopefully in a couple of weeks. And if they make a sequel, which they're threatening to, then well, maybe we'll have to come back. But
it's okay. I'm sure Alan Ritchson keeps busy.
He's got that Reacher show on, I think, Amazon that keeps him heavily employed. So. That's cool. People seem to like that show, because I think that show's got a little bit of cheese to it, so it's got more personality than this does, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I think Connor likes it. I'm pretty sure, but there you go. That's War Machine, and I'll tell you what's coming next time on the Atomic Cinema Experiment. So the last couple times I've told you what's coming next, there's probably been wrong because things moved around, so we could get Project Hail Mary out a bit quicker. But I promise that this should, in theory, be right. Next week we are tackling something a bit more obscure, a 90s film called No Escape, which actually won the Patreon vote. So. I think Ray Liotta's in it, I think. So,
all right.
Yeah, we're doing some obscure 90s sci-fi next week, so that's fun.
Sounds it. No, Lance Henriksen. All right.
I'm happy to see Lance Henriksen. It does not mean the movie will be any good, but I'm happy to see him.
I've seen Lance Henriksen in more bad movies than good at this point.
Yep. But yeah, that is that. Obviously, David's got his homework movie in a minute. But just I'll tell you before that you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and get access to the Ratings Rundown segment for each episode of both this and Collector's Cut. And every month we do a show called Extra Reels where we review some of the worst movies ever made. Maybe one day we'll do Robo War, because it seems quite fitting to eventually do that there. Even though me and Tara did talk about it in a bonus Ace episode once, but I feel like Robo War and the beauty of Red Brown must be shared with more people. But
that's fair. I would argue just make more people subscribe to the Patreon, but
oh sure,
that's because I have a very personal stake in not doing that.
But yes, we recently did stuff like DOA, Dead or Alive, Love Unleashed, like some absolute bangers. What was that movie with Gary Oldman playing a little person?
Tiptoes.
Yeah. That was a riot. So you can check out those on Extra Reels. Thanks to everyone who already supports the content and supports us on Patreon. It is greatly appreciated. YouTube membership's also an alternative if you want to access it through YouTube directly. But that is that. So yes, David goes back and watches one of the episodes or one of the movies that we did of the Ace before he joined. So David, what was this week's homework movie?
Well, I kind of picked I wouldn't say randomly, but I didn't have much of a connection. I picked the 2008 Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh.
Yeah. I knew it wouldn't be great. I saw your guys' ratings going into it, and I'm like, well, this is just something I got to get done eventually. May as well do it now. It's honestly confounding to me how much they missed the mark.
Oh yeah.
Like it's one thing if you want to do like a reimagining, you want to do like an updating or something like that, so be it, fine. But this just felt like they skinned the name off of the corpse of the previous movie and are just wearing it around like a meat suit. Like nothing about this said the day the earth stood still, to the point where there are multiple aspects of this where it felt ashamed to reference back to the original. It felt like it was like, okay, look, we're kind of stuck in this 50s hokiness. Don't hold this against us, audience members. I think this is the first indication that Jaden Smith is just horrible in every meaning of the word. I hate him in this movie, and I feel like I'm almost supposed to, but there are points where I think I'm supposed to like him and I still hate him. So
also, let's not gloss over the fact that Scott Derrickson of The Gorge fame is the director of this remake.
True. Do I feel like he got better up until The Gorge?
I mean, I think Day the Earth Stood Still remake is probably worse out of the two, but
yeah,
I still hate The Gorge though, just to be clear.
No, it wasn't good. Yeah. Nah, it just felt like a cheap cash grab. It just felt like, hey, we got the IP for this. Why not make a remake? Let's do whatever, and we'll make it all modern day special effects. That'll make it a better movie, right? And then they were like, oh wait, what do you mean subtext? We don't need subtext. This is 2008. Only cowards use subtext. So, no, not a good movie. I feel like I don't know if I'm closer to you or Tara. You gave it a 2. She gave it a 4.5.
What a range.
Yeah, I can really pick and choose any number I want here. I think I'm probably going to say that this one is a 3 for me, just slightly closer to you. And I only give it just that little bit above you because I think that acting wise, it had a great sounding cast. Like all of the stars there, I was like, oh, hey, cool, they're here. And then they did nothing. But at the very least, I felt like I was at least getting a star-studded cast out of it.
No, Rough Times. That has to be one of the lowest rated movies, like one of my lowest ratings on Ace, like proper.
Well, two episodes earlier, you did AVP Requiem and gave it a 1.
Well,
so.
that's also a special case. Like that 2007-2008 like period was rough in some ways. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I realized that Dark Knight came out that year, but we also had Day of the Earth Stood Still remake. So, you know, like there was balance, right? You had the extreme ends of both spectrum, or the spectrum. Anyway, that is the ace. That is the show, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You can let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie, and all that usual stuff helps out a bunch. But that is us. So we'll see you next time for No Escape. And I think we're just wrapping up 2025 season on Collector's Cut this week with No Other Choice, and then we'll have a new mini season of that starting next week. So look forward to that. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction and computer at Salsa.